Newly released Fox News polls are giving us a look at how people feel about President Biden is doing in terms of his 100th day in office. Here to weigh in is our political panel. Daily Caller executive editor and host of WMAL's Mornings on the Mall, Vince Coglianese, and Democratic strategist and former Biden campaign surrogate, Kevin Walling. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, Mike, good to be with you.
From the new Fox poll on border security, 15% now say the situation at our border is better than it was 2 years ago. 46% say border security has gotten worse. Vince, how do you read those numbers?
Yeah, it is completely out of control. In fact, it's an unmitigated disaster that the Biden administration has been pretending essentially doesn't exist, even to the point that the vice president of the United States, Kamala Harris, has been supposedly assigned with rectifying this problem, and she is still playing political games on whether or not she'll ever actually go to the border to see the issue. Our border is so porous now that we have apprehensions nearing 200,000 per month, and that doesn't count the many thousands more who cross our border and go undetected because they don't immediately turn themselves over and into Border Patrol right away. And then left out of the conversation frequently, the drugs. We have drugs pouring across our border at unbelievable levels, a 233% increase in the first quarter of fentanyl crossing our border. That has killed many thousands of Americans, 87,000 dead last year due to the opioid crisis. That's only going to grow.
Kevin, will that 15% good, 46% bad number get the attention of folks inside the White House and perhaps other prominent Democrats?
Yeah, Mike, it absolutely has. I mean, you're going to see the vice president tomorrow have a bilateral with the president of Guatemala, meeting with the Mexican president later this week. Obviously, you're going to see the president talk about immigration reform, the need for that with this crisis at the border, and is a crisis that we're seeing in his address to Congress on Wednesday night. So obviously, this is going to be a focal point for this administration. But in that same Fox News poll, the majority of Americans not only support the president with a higher job approval rating than most presidents at this point in their term, but also strong marks on COVID-19 with 200 million shots in arms, checks in people's bank accounts. So the president is going to have a lot to talk about, I think, on Wednesday night in terms of touting the success. Clearly, immigration is the one mark issue that the administration needs to do a better job on.
Okay, speaking of that poll, let's take a look at some of the issues that people consider most important: the economy, gun laws, health care. Near the bottom, voter suppression and climate change, yet the president spent a good deal of energy on those issues. Vince, what is your take?
Well, he's become, this is a guy who ran as the moderate in his party, and he's become completely beholden to the most radical positions of the activists within his party. In fact, the conversations around adding additional states in order to make sure Democrats have permanent power, the conversations around expanding the Supreme Court and packing it with Democrat politicians, the conversations around making it so that everyone in America would pay for abortions both domestically and internationally through their tax dollars. He has taken up some of the most radical positions in his entire party. And as you've noted correctly, those are the least popular things that you could possibly advocate for. I think Democrats are at real risk of suffering fatal defeats come these midterms if they stay on the course they are on, unless they can rig the system in their favor by doing things like adding an additional state.
Kevin, 74% in that Fox News poll say they're very concerned about gun laws. Does that inspire Democrats, seeing that number?
Yeah, it certainly does. And of course, in those top three issues, healthcare, guns, and the economy, the president is leading. I mean, in these first 100 days, you saw the most amount of job growth than any other president in modern times in terms of the number of jobs created. He's delivering executive actions on guns that are widely supportive of the American people. And I think these are three key issues, especially healthcare, too, and his high marks on COVID-19 response that Democrats can run on in just 570 days or so to the midterms. It's never too early to start, as you know. Mike, talking about the midterms in Congress, being a longtime reporter up there.
Yes.
So obviously these are winning issues for Democrats. And the president, like I said, is going to tout all this just on Wednesday night.
Well, we will see what the president has to say Wednesday night. Kevin, Vince, many thanks. Have a great week.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. To you, too.